Right now, it is time for Cover Your Assets with Jim Lynch. Jim, of course, joins us on a Tuesday morning. Jim has well over 40 years of experience. He's an independent voice out of Wall Street, the economy, politics, sports, and we'd love to have him in every Tuesday morning here on The Breakfast Club. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely spring. It looks like it needs a little more work, but it's wonderful to see the sun shining. It kind of takes the edge off some of the other things we're going through. I just want to say that I'm in the Marshall Miles Club of having taken my second vaccine, and it's a wonderful experience. You kind of feel like you've done something.
That's right. That's exactly it. Now, which vaccine did you get, Jim? Which one?
Got the Pfizer.
Okay.
Got the Pfizer.
Yeah. Now, did you get the sword? Did you get?
And I tell you truthfully, I can't thank these people enough in the service they're doing, because the first time I went, which was earlier in March, there were hardly anybody there. But last week, it was about 3 times their load, as the nurse was telling me, and. I'm certain it's the same everywhere, but it really is quite efficient, and it's very, very thorough, and it does require a lot of an individual's attention. So just a shout-out to all these wonderful people who are doing this great service. And I would say, just continuing a little bit of what we were talking about last week, I really do encourage people to get their shots. As you know, there's some surges going on now in Michigan, and I think in Minnesota. And the vaccines seem to be working, but the point is, there's very little alternative that you have. And just having the confidence of the shot, I think, is very helpful and healthy.
Now, did you get a sore arm from it at all?
Pardon me?
Did your arm get sore at all after you got the shot?
I'm sorry, Marshall. The sound isn't clear.
Did you get a sore arm, like someone punched you in the arm after the shot?
I'm sorry. I beg pardon. I had a sore arm for about a day and a half. With the second shot and the first shot, I was rather tired. The first couple of days. The second shot. I basically, the next day, slept for 4 hours in the afternoon, and then the tiredness left me. So some very little discomfort in the arm and tiredness, which might have been that I had been, not sleeping or working or something.
All right. Now, I have a question to ask you about the stock market, okay?
Okay.
And I was looking at some news stories. Once again, this is going to be about GameStop, all right?
Right.
This kind of shocked me, and maybe it shocked me because I'm a novice and I don't know that much about the ins and outs. GameStop Corporation on Monday increased the value of their new stock. It may sell anywhere from $100 million to $1 billion.
Right.
That's just, to me, that sounds amazing.
Well, it is amazing, and it's a product of the fever, which is going on in various parts of the stock market. GameStop is a real company. It got a following. People found out from some of the new brokers, discount brokers, that there was a big short position in GameStop, meaning somebody had sold the shares which they didn't own. Among those was some very large hedge funds. And the net result, it was put on the wire of the broker, this is a good company and there's a big short position. And everybody started going crazy as they started buying it, and it would go up a couple of points at a time, and that kind of speculation just fed on itself. And the stock went from, I forget where it was, but it got up to 400. It's now back to about 100 and something. The thing is, it whet the appetite of really smaller investors, and the hedge funds actually jumped on the bandwagon as they saw the momentum in the stock. The net result was GameStop's price now is rich. It's too high versus the company in terms of what it can earn and so forth. But it is basically taking advantage of this enthusiasm among people who like these stocks that move very, very quickly. And they're now going to try and sell, as you said, almost $1 billion worth of stock. Of course, that kind of offering will put an end to the, I think, will put an end to the momentum on the upside. And if they get it done, and there's no saying they'll get it all done, it's going to take quite a bit out of the momentum of that particular company. And other companies like GameStop, which have been profiting from this speculative momentum, have been issuing debt, not in the size that GameStop is trying to do. So, there in a nutshell, I don't know.
The reason I ask you that, Jim, is because I put an app on my phone, and I get now updates on, and I take that story, okay, along with the price tag that they have here, to the story about Credit Suisse, where this is where I find amazing. A company can take a $4.7 billion hit from their hedge fund scandal, and all that happens is their executives step down. To me, that $4.7 billion hit would, if I were the feds, would cause me to want to investigate and figure out what's going on.
Well, what's going on, in my opinion, is a lack of due diligence and the use of their money to basically buy into some very risky ventures. But it starts with they apparently didn't know or didn't care that the risk was so great in this hedge fund. And also they didn't know that the hedge fund that caused the debacle went around to all the banks that they could find to lend them money against some pretty risky investments that the funds were making. So yes, the SEC, there should be an investigation, and the investigation should probably start with the premise: what exactly did you people think you were buying or investing in when you did this? Because it's now very, very apparent what they put their money in. This hedge fund was doing very speculative things and basically leveraging up almost every penny that it got from these banks and other investors, so that when the storm hit, it was just a collapse. It was like a building just imploded. And no, there will be, obviously, various top executives have been fired, but that's just the beginning. It's quite ironic that the president of Credit Suisse, he's only got a couple of more months to go, and then someone new takes over from Lloyd's Bank. This is actually in the works, but how convenient for him. However, his risk people, his investment banking people, various other top executives have been let go. Now, let's get back to the GameStop thing for a minute. And let's talk to each other as investors. We're in some pretty precarious areas here. I know, thank God, the pandemic, we're working on it. It's not finished yet, but and there's light at the end of the tunnel as the economy. The jobs report was very good on Friday. So those things are coming into the light, and are very positive. But the speculative aura that we have is very, very dangerous from the standpoint of the market, but maybe even the economy, in that some of the people who have bought a lot of this stuff and make a lot of money, if they start losing it or lose all of it, it's going to put a little bit of dent in the economy. So I want to just go over quickly what happened here during 2020 and what we've seen in the first couple of months. I just use the Dow Jones average. Sometime in February, March, the averages were at 29,000. In just a month and a half, give or take, they went down to 18,000. And then in just another couple of weeks, they went back up to 22,000. And then they hovered there for a while. And then gradually, as confidence was built over the vaccine, they marched on up to about the 28,000 mark. And then some good economic news started building, and so they then shot up, and they're now in the 30,000 range. This is very important for us all to understand. The people who bought in March of 2020 now have long-term capital gains on their stocks. That doesn't mean they should sell them, but it does mean that there is a potential source of stock that is available now because of tax consequences. And you should keep that in mind if and when you're making an investment. Depending on the company, you've got to look at their outlook, so to speak, at their price-earnings ratio, and very importantly at this time, what kind of debt do they have on their balance sheet? Because if they've got too much debt and it's at a higher rate of interest than currently available, like back 2 years ago, these are danger signs in what we have ahead of us. So caution is the byword, and again, it's just rank speculation and gambling on the part of major institutions that have caused the Credit Suisse situation.
And one final note to ask you a question on, and that is, in following the news the past month or so, it seems the Republicans always had big business, big corporations in their back pocket. Always, it was just there, like the sun rises every morning and sets every night. But recently, we've seen something pretty interesting, and that is where big business corporations are breaking with the Republican Party, and this goes down to everything to industry leaders, where all of a sudden the Republicans are facing, I won't say it's a mass problem, but it's getting worse and worse, where big business is now following social guidelines and more align with Democrats than Republican views. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I have. And my reflection is the Republican Party, following the crazy ways of Donald Trump, ever since he's been in office, or was in office, but they made it much worse when they cottoned to his talking about the election was false. And corporations, they're just not accountants with the green ledger who look at the profits and losses and, oh, that's good for today, it's not. They're very bright people. We'll take a Larry Fink, for instance, at BlackRock. They're thinkers as well as moneymakers, and they have a very large perspective on things. And they know that what has happened here to the country because of the Trump administration and its enablers, which happens to be most of the Republican Party, basically trying to destroy our democracy, which is not only our freedom, but is very important to a sound economy. If you have an authoritarian government, it's the worst possible thing that can happen to a country and to an economy, because then you have a few players who have the power to dominate whatever goes on economically or otherwise. This is what Trump was attempting to do. He made some inroads. In the final analysis, he's failed, I believe. So the corporations are saying, you people have got it upside down. You're wrong-headed. You are wrong. You put your citizens, you keep them out of the ballot box, then eventually you're going to keep them from buying things because they're going to lose confidence in the whole country. So that's why I think they're doing what they're doing.
You know, it's even gone so far as basically the Chamber of Commerce has solidly been basically in the Republican stronghold, and even the Chamber of Commerce, which represents smaller businesses, has changed its attitude since, I'll say, since the pandemic especially, but even a little before that, where they don't see the Republicans as being pro-business anymore.
Well, they're not pro-business because what they've been doing are things that destroy businesses. I mean, people allow the environment to be politicized, and the Republicans that thrive, courtesy of Trump, on claiming all these grievances so that people who didn't think twice would climb on board, they forgot that if you don't take care of your environment, then what's going to happen to the land, to the air, to the ocean? I mean, and so that's why people are finally waking up and saying, this is crazy. We've allowed these people to use grievance strategy to get people all worked up and excited about things that they shouldn't be excited about they should be excited about it on the plus side. We should be doing more and more for the environment. And as Biden has proposed, we will be doing more for the environment, and we'll be creating jobs in the process. All you have to do is there are countless articles about the environment and the pollution that we've caused and have not tried to do something about. You go back 20 years when Al Gore was running for president, and when he wrote his book about what was coming, it's all coming true. The tides are rising. These storms you're having in the Southwest, the fires in California and in Montana and so forth, these things are unprecedented. And they're man-made from the pollution and other things that we've done. The lack of water in Michigan there for a year or more. Lack of water now in 20, 30 days in Texas because they basically stinged on the power, on the safety of it. I mean, hey, that's not good business because it's good business short term for some individuals, but it's lousy business for a population.
I just sit here as someone who's 68, and I've been actively involved in politics, and yes, I am a progressive. I'm not even just a liberal. I'm a progressive, but I'm seeing the change, and really also what quickened the change on a local level was the Chamber of Commerce. Was after what happened, the insurgency at the Capitol. I think where the Chamber of Commerce really pulled back on legislators that basically gave a free pass to that insurrection. So as someone who's 68 and seen politics inside and out and followed, it just seems to be a major titanic shift that is underway, and I see conservative Republicans, the old line conservatives, trying to fix that. I don't know if they can possibly do it now.
Well, I think they have a bit of an opportunity here. Senator Schumer dealt with the person who decides on the rules of the Senate. Not to get too technical, but basically the Senate will now have the opportunity just to use the Democratic vote to get several of Biden's big plans going. A lot of them deal with our overall country, piece by piece. But, for instance, the infrastructure. You can read where, so many things are 100 years old, and so many bridges are out of whack, and so forth and so on. So the Republicans will have an opportunity, since it's destined that the Democrats will get the vote. Some Republicans who are thinking, and also they better be thinking about the upcoming elections in 21 and 22, just might vote for what is right, not what the party wants, but what is right, and vote for some of these programs that Biden is putting up. I mean, he's not cutting taxes like Trump did on the rich and corporations from 38% to 21%. He's going to raise taxes from 21% to 28%, getting some of that back to finance the country. The country's for everybody, including the wealthiest of people who have the greatest of homes, and this and that and the other thing. Eventually, they're on their knees looking for water, looking for sunshine, etc. But let's stay with the Republicans. The thing is, I think you might get some Republicans to off the fence and start doing what's right for its constituency and the country, and going along with these Biden bills. And that will possibly bring back more sanity to the Republican Party. They're not stupid people. They're very smart people. That's why they get all these donations and why they've been in office for many years. But that's coming to an end now. And, let God bless us. Let's hope they come over and we work as a country again.
Well, all I can say as we wrap up the show is I think James Carville came up with the line during the Clinton run for presidency, and it looks like it's a major factor in politics today. It's the economy, stupid. Really, that's a great line.
Yeah. Remember those days when life was simple?
But it comes down to that. It's the economy, stupid. If you look at the economy and you make the economy work for as many people as possible, you're going to be victorious. Really.
Of course, people will be back at work. They'll be making money. They'll be saving money. They'll be sending their kids to school. They'll be healthy. They'll be able to afford health insurance. Of course, they're very simple things. But when you put emotion behind certain things, politics, people's grievances, you screw it all up when you don't keep it simple.
All right, Jim, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
It's a pleasure talking to you too, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll speak to you next week.
Being on the show. God bless all of you. Stay well.
Take care, Jim. Bye-bye. Jim Lynch, and Cover Your Assets this morning here on the Breakfast Club on Robin Hood Radio. Once again, the opinions and comments that are presented on this particular segment are those of the people that give them, do not represent people that work for Tri-State Public Communications, Robin Hood Radio, the Robin Hood Radio Network, or CATV 6 or CATV 252.